What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Devin the Bear. Today we're going to be discussing UFC Vegas 38, which was headlined by Johnny Walker and Thiago Santos. And we'll also be talking a little bit about Bellator 267, Lima versus MVP 2. Let's go ahead and just get right into the UFC card. It started off pretty strong, lots of finishes. We saw Alejandro Perez defeat Johnny Walker by a submission.
Johnny Eduardo
By submission. I don't know what did I say.
Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker, really. And so then after that, we went to the women's bantamweight. Stephanie Egger defeated Shanna Young by TKO by an elbow in the second round. But probably my favorite finish on the preliminary card was what's his name? Douglas Silva de Andrade. He defeated Gaetino Pirello by a punch. He just punched him. That was it.
Yeah, it was pretty dirty. I think it's Gaetano.
Yeah.
He's like going for a flying knee and just got caught with a left hook on the way up, and so he dropped like
a sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
He hit the ground fucking hard.
It was pretty bad. His
Yeah.
head smacked the canvas.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I feel like he should have. Like out of all those fighters, though, talk about that. I think it was crazy. So actually, let's finish this up real quick with the preliminary card. Jamie Mullarkey got a TKO over Devontae Smith in the second round.
That's pretty good combinations.
Yeah, I like Jamie Mullarkey a lot. He's really good. He's a great up and coming fighter, a lightweight. And let's see, Carol Rosa defeated Betch Correia. King Casey O'Neill, though.
Yeah,
she came in.
She beat the hell out of Antonina Shevchenko.
Yeah. So what do you think it is with Antonina? Like her, I mean, I know that she's good. She trains with probably the best women's fighter in the world right now.
She's got tons of Muay Thai championships, just like her sister.
Yeah.
I think it's just the ground game. I think she has an issue with grapplers, and it's showing.
Yeah.
And then she gets matched up with women who are really good grapplers.
Yeah.
Like Casey O'Neill. Because
I mean, the lack of ground game has become very prominent. Like these are the back-to-back losses, I'd say, right?
Yeah.
With both that ended up on the ground.
One was a submission. This one was a TKO. But yeah, they were both on the ground. Both women were just controlling her and kind of moving around wherever they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, and what's crazy though is Antonina was actually on top in her last fight against Andrea Lee. She was in top position. She lost it, and she gave up a triangle. And but yeah, I remember coming into this though, you talked about Casey O'Neill and talked about how good she is as well.
Yeah, specifically on the ground.
Yeah,
she's got really great submissions, really good transitions. Everything's just really smooth there. So as soon as it went to the ground, I was like, okay, well that's the end of this fight.
Yeah, I mean, what's it called? Whenever you're Antonina, though, I mean, you see how complete of a fighter your sister is. I know people are going to constantly compare you to her. Yeah. And that's just what's going to happen with that. And, I mean, but then again, it's like, look how good she is, and y'all train together. Like, when's this going to translate over for you, too, you know?
Yeah.
So, Jared Cornyn defeated Joe Selecki by split decision. This was the headliner for the prelims. I caught the last end of this round. But they were going at it.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that the whole fight.
Yeah, they were throwing down. Jared Gordon, I felt like he was. Well, Joe Selecki just seemed like he couldn't really like get going whenever he would try to set something down. Like he couldn't ever really establish anything significant in that third round from what I saw. Did you catch it by chance?
Yeah. It was basically Joe Selecki trying to get it to the ground the first round, and he was able to. The second round, Gordon was a little bit more prepared for it, so ended up on the feet a bit more often. And he even went for a couple takedowns himself, and he got them. And so I think Gordon was just able to tire out Selecki, so that the third round, he was able to land his shots and kind of take that fight in the last round.
Yeah. And so what's the one thing I was going to point out, though? So when it came to the bonus awards they give out to every fight night, it was crazy, though. So there was no fight of the night, and I feel like that kind of makes sense. But with the performance of the night, every fighter who got a performance of the night bonus, $50,000 bonus, they were all on the preliminary card.
Yeah.
No main card fighters got a bonus, and I feel like that says something a lot about how it was a very bottom heavy card once the fights actually happened.
Yeah.
And so we saw a catchweight bout opened up the main card with Alex Hernandez. He defeated Mike Breeden by knockout. It was nasty, though. I saw that one. That's what, and it was bad, dude.
His straights, man. He was just firing off the 1-2.
Yeah, and Mike Breeden took this fight on like a week and a half's notice. He took it on 10 days' notice. I mean, granted, like I think with the fight, I was hoping Alex after he knocked him out said, "Hey man, like he took it on 10 days' notice. So I don't want to keep his 20%." But Mike Breeden, he fought on the Contender Series. He lost his fight in the Contender Series, and then they brought him in to come in on short notice. And I mean, hopefully he'll be back. But we saw in Alex Hernandez that it's still really, really good. I do think he does need tougher competition, but anytime they give him that tougher competition, he struggles.
Yeah,
he struggles really bad with it, and he's kind of blowing through these guys. Like we saw when he fought Chris Gritzmacher, he knocked him out, and then in a fight with Thiago Moises, he feels like he won that fight also. So he said he actually wants. They asked him who he wants next since he's trying to make his name. He's a young dude. I mean, he's got a lot going for him as well. I just think after the Cowboy Cerrone loss, people lost a lot of hype in him, you know, and he couldn't really put anything together after that. So he now that he's getting these good knockouts, it's kind of standing out for him, you know.
Yeah.
And so he did. They have what's his name? Daniel Cormier actually asked him, "Who do you want next?" And he said he wants Leonardo Santos. He's like, I trained 8 weeks for that guy. I've been training for that guy. I never got the fight. So whenever he's ready, that's who I want.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that he was sticking with that fight.
Yeah.
I hope he gets made because it's definitely a bit more fun. Sorry. I think that fight's a little bit more evenly matched than against Mike Breeden.
Yeah, and you got Leonardo Santos, who's been in the UFC for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fought some pretty good guys. He's fought Kevin Lee. He actually has a win over Kevin Lee. He's been in the UFC since 2013. So to see him come in and he's taken on Alex Hernandez, but I mean, I would like to see that fight get remade. You know, he only has like one loss in the UFC, and that's to Grant Dawson. So that's pretty impressive. That's crazy to say that though. He's been in the UFC since 2013 and has only had one loss. You know.
And his name isn't a prominent one, I would say. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any wildly large Leonardo Santos fans out there that are listening, but
yeah, can I be honest with you? I had no idea he was in the UFC for this long. Like I'm kind of mind blown right now. And I talk about this sport twice a week, and but I didn't know who he was, and then so seeing this, I'm like, oh shit.
Well, it's just like Johnny Eduardo. Johnny Eduardo's been in the UFC a really long time, and he's the first fight of the prelims.
Yeah.
He takes some losses here and there, but he's always been a decent watch, and you know he's just opening up prelims.
Yeah.
But he's let me see how long he's been in the UFC, because I know he was in there pre-Reebok era.
Damn, dude, he's fought some good guys too. He fought Nathaniel Wood.
He's been in it since 2011.
10 years. He actually has a loss to the current champion, Aljamain Sterling. Do with that what you will, but yeah. But yeah, man. So we also saw a middleweight bout between Krzysztof Jotko and Misha Serkinov. Serkinov is making his middleweight debut, and I was driving whenever this fight was happening, so I missed this fight. Did you happen to catch this one?
Yeah, I feel like it was an okay fight. Neither guy could really get anything going,
right?
But Krzysztof definitely took more advantage of the moments he could than Misha did. Misha Serkinov was just going for that takedown, and you knew that's all he was doing. With Krzysztof Jotko, you had him using his hands to keep his distance away from Misha Serkinov, and that was the fight.
I mean, that's what
the whole time.
I caught the end of the third round, or the middle of the third, and Krzysztof was kind of telling Misha, like, come on, like, let's fight.
Yeah.
And Misha just wasn't really engaging with it.
Because he couldn't get near him without getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
Anytime he would try to, Krzysztof would punch him.
Yeah.
And it was like, yep, you can't just walk up on him. You got to do something else.
Yeah, you can't just try to take him down because he knows that's what you're trying to do.
And there was a couple of times where Daniel Cormier was like, oh, it's a nice little blitz by Misha. And I'm like, blitz? He took like 3 steps forward with his hands down.
I'm a fan of DC, but I'll tell you what, though, man. I feel like sometimes he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like,
well, I feel like he just. How do you hype up that fight?
You don't.
Well, you have to. It's his job.
Right.
So when Misha Serkinov takes a few steps forward real fast, you call it a blitz. Dude didn't blitz anything.
Well, it's like when we were watching the Alex Hernandez. Alex Volkanovski fight with Brian Ortega, and he kept saying, "Man, he's Ortega's really landing with that left hand." And I finally said, I was like, he's not landing at all with it. Like, if you see Volkanovski's putting his hand up to catch that punch, get the sting off the end of that punch.
Yeah, it was getting deflected most of the time.
Yeah, and it was like, I feel like it's something that a lot of people don't even notice either, how good Volkanovski's defense was, because he was so offensively strong in that fight. And so, I don't know. But that was just, it was an all right fight.
Yeah.
So, middle of the card was Nico Price defeating Alex Cowboy Oliveira by a unanimous decision.
I feel like that fight should have gotten fight of the night. That was a fun fight. That first round was okay. I think Cowboy looked good. His strikes, I was like, okay, he's looking good again. In the second round, it was a little bit more of the same, but it went to the ground, and Nico Price just turned it on. Yeah. He was attacking with submissions constantly. He was even throwing strikes. I don't know how he ends up in these positions that he always ends up in. Who did he knock out off his back with punches?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, though. I can't remember his name.
Well, they were up against the cage in that fight. Randy Brown,
yeah.
And he ended up in that same position with Cowboy. And I was like, oh, dude, is he about to knock him out? And then Cowboy moved away, and I was like, that's a smart move. Yeah, I don't know how Nico Price generates the power he does, but when you get on the ground, he knows how to fight on the ground.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really exciting. The transitions, the submission defense that Cowboy showed, the submission offense that Nico Price showed, that was very exciting. I know it's not striking, and people like to see, knockouts, but to me that was very exciting. Just watching that second round and how many submissions were being thrown out there and how many they were being defended, how well they were being defended. Right. And then the third round, Nico Price just pushed the pace and was really just beating up on Cowboy, and he got the win. Yeah. So I think it was a fun fight. I thought it was really good.
I was surprised.
I wish it would have gotten.
I was surprised that I wasn't. Well, I guess I don't know. Like, I watched the fight and I was kind of underwhelmed.
I think you should watch it again.
I'll check it out. Maybe I need a second opinion on it. But I wasn't. I mean, it's not that it was a bad fight, but it was just okay. I was kind of.
I will say I wanted more from it, but I think Nico was just kind of surprised a little bit maybe by Cowboy's ability to cover distance with his strikes.
He looked like Cowboy came in and he looked very disciplined, more than usual. I think he's kind of realizing now it's like, I'm fighting for my fucking job now. So R. Kelly fighting for his fucking life,
But yeah, I think maybe Nico Price was a little surprised by that. He was probably thinking to be able to walk through Cowboy strikes a little bit easier. Yeah. But he wasn't able to. Because I think there was at least one shot in the first round where maybe it didn't rock him, but you could tell it kind of caught him a little bit. But I think that fight was a pretty fun one. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
I'll go back and watch it, though, and I'll definitely let you know how I feel about that. So the co-main event, man, fuck. This sucked. I was super excited to see Kevin Holland back because I know that he's been actually very serious about what he's doing. Taking the whole, taking mixed martial arts and saying, oh, wait, y'all take people down. I should probably work on that finally. Take on Kyle Dawkins, who's also a good fighter, too, just like his brother. And it's crazy. I think watching Kyle Dawkins weigh in, I was like, damn, you and your brother are built the exact same. You're just a smaller version of him. And so the fight started off, and Kyle Dawkins went for a takedown, and it got stuffed. And he made it very clear that, hey, I'm going for a takedown as soon as we start. He did not hide the fact that, no, I'm going to see if you've actually been working on your wrestling. And Kevin Holland stuffed it. Kevin Holland's having a conversation with DC about it. He's like, see, it's paying off, And I thought that was pretty funny to see Kevin Holland back in there doing that and actually showing some type of defense to wrestling,
Yeah, I would say his wrestling definitely is improved. I won't just say looks improved. It definitely was improved. Yeah. But the next step is when they're holding you up against the cage. Yeah. Now you got to do something about that.
Yeah, he was working for it. Kyle Dawkins is a tough fighter. He's very strong. I mean, to see Kevin Holland make the improvements in the past couple months that he has was good to see. When someone has you up against the cage against a guy who's known for his wrestling, getting off the cage is just it comes with being a student of the game.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. He's got to learn the next step.
Yeah. And I'm sure he will.
His goal is to be go back to being that knockout artist that he is. So
maybe he can develop some anti-wrestling style.
Yeah,
so
which there's plenty of fighters right now who you can go train with to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
I think Daniel Cormier is not a bad one for that. So he's training with Daniel Cormier.
He's also training with Johnny Hendricks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's actually who he's mainly training with for his wrestling because he's from Waco. I think he still lives in Texas. I think he does. Yeah. I know he's training Colt in England. I thought that was super cool to see. But yeah, he's mainly training. He mainly trains between Texas and Arizona. But he said I know that Johnny Hendricks has been his wrestling coach. So we finally see them stand up, and I want to say that they're both different stance fighters or something is what caused that headbutt. Kevin Holland swung for a punch. Chris Dawkins weaved under it.
I think Chris Dawkins is southpaw. Could be wrong.
I kind of want to say the same, but something. So whenever he weaved in, he went in for the punch. They clashed heads. You see Dawkins' forehead crash right onto Kevin Holland's chin, and Kevin, like in the slow mo, when it happens super fast.
Yeah.
And but when he face planted on the ground and then comes right back to it, he's trying to do his best. What's his name? Kyle Dawkins is threatening submissions. Eventually gets his back and taps him out. And Dan Merguiato, the referee, good old Dan.
And we were just talking about how bad he is.
Yeah, and I agree with the sense that like they're showing some life, keep the fight going, but that's different in the sense that hey, dude, this guy just got knocked the fuck out by that. Like he did
an illegal strike.
He didn't just like wobble a little bit. Like if you watch the replay, they show in slow motion, his eyes roll and he doesn't even catch himself. He smacks face first on the ground, and I think he hit the ground so hard it woke him up a little bit. Like he was out, and then woke back up. And then they kept it going and shit, and I was like, man, fuck, dude. So Dan Merguiato, who made the call to call a no contest, that's what they ended up saying. They were talking with Herb Dean and other fighters, and they told him like, it's your decision on what you want to do with this. You have the final say, but this is what you're supposed to do, because he didn't really know what to do. In situations like that, you don't always know what to do. I mean, it's so weird how some of these things happen, and So he called it for no contest, but I think it was the right call.
I do too.
I'm happy that at least they call it no contest, and it's not a loss for Kevin Holland.
Dawkins was a little upset with it.
Yeah,
he said, I don't want to misquote him or say something incorrectly entirely, but he said like, the way it went, it was an accidental headbutt, and he kept fighting back, and then I tapped him out, and it gets called a no contest. But he was like, but if it were me who went out and then Kevin Holland finished it, I don't know, I feel like they would have given him the finish.
I completely disagree with that, though.
I don't understand what his reasoning for saying that was.
I think he's trying to say favoritism.
Yeah, but I know he's not as popular as Kevin Holland, but people like the Dawkins brothers. They're quickly becoming fan favorites.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just frustrated with the situation, Yeah. And but I think that calling a no contest was the best thing to do.
Yeah.
I know that he was fighting back, but we've seen guys get hit with shots like that, and it happens not as severe, and they break him up, and with Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez too. When Alvarez threw a 12-6 elbow, they stood him up, and Eddie Alvarez like, "What are you talking about? Shut up, you dirty bitch! That was fucking bad." I don't know. I don't like Eddie Alvarez. And,
well, it's just the same as any other illegal strike in the
when there's
sport.
an illegal strike thrown, you stop the fight.
Yeah.
Make sure the fighter's okay. And he didn't, because he was like, well, he showed life. And I'm like, who else fucking said that? That piece of shit referee from Fury with that illegal shot.
Freaking Rob Alexander.
Yeah, fuck that guy, dude. And I will openly say that. Honestly. Like, I understand we watched the fight, there was an illegal knee. The guy kept fighting, but still, pause the fight. Yeah. Let him gather his chickens, I mean, let make sure his eggs aren't cracked. And see some life out of it. And
well, it also reminds me of when what was his name, Alessio Sakara fought
Yeah.
Patrick Cote.
Yeah.
And there were like 10 strikes to the back of the head, and Cote went out cold.
Yeah.
I think that was actually Dan Mergliotta. I could be wrong.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Actually,
Please do, because I kind of think it was him. But yeah, there were like 10 strikes to the back of the head, and apparently the reason that he didn't call it was he said, "Oh well, the first 3, I kind of said something about, but Patrick Cote was still pushing." It's like, okay, you expect the fighters to do?
it's Dan Mergliotta.
It was Dan Mergliotta.
Yeah.
I knew it. But it's like you expect the fighters to do your job for you. They can't stop the fight. Only you can.
Yeah, these fighters aren't gonna stop if someone goes out. They're gonna
Yeah.
keep going. It's just what they do. These guys are trained to go for the kill. It's the same exact thing when someone goes out. What's it called?
If you could find that knockout too, or the finish of that fight, you should watch it. It's bad.
Okay.
There were like 10 consecutive strikes to the back of the head. You just see them, just each one.
Well, it's like I know I call Eddie Alvarez a dirty fighter, but whenever he fought over and won, and he punched that dude in the back of the head, and
Same
he kept
freaking thing.
he kept doing
Yeah.
it, and because the referee's not stopping it, so he's gonna keep doing it if the ref's not gonna stop
Yeah,
it.
and that's where it's the problem. We don't,
Yeah.
you can have problems with the fighters all you want. If they're not getting stopped by the refs, is it really dirty?
Yeah. I mean,
It is,
It
but
is, yes.
it
It's very
is,
dirty.
but it's like, if it happens once or twice, every now and then it happens. But when you do it every fight, that's something else.
Yeah, and I'm watching it right now. Oh shit! Oh fuck! I've seen this fight. I've actually seen
they're
this
freaking.
before. Yeah,
It's bad, and he just sits there,
yeah.
and then Cote goes out, and then he stops it, and it's like, what are you
Those
doing,
are very
man?
blatantly to the back of the head too.
And there were so many of them.
Alessio Sakara was actually a pro boxer before he was an MMA fighter, so he's got some heavy fucking hands.
Yeah.
You don't want a pro boxer punching you in the
He's
back
a
of the
big
head.
dude
Man.
too.
Yeah, he is. And but yeah, no. So with that though, I feel like Dan Mergliotta should have stopped it right then and there.
Yeah.
Like be like, wait, break, and then if they were like, I'm all right. It's like, well, let's just give you a
Yeah,
break.
you gotta take a minute and let the doctor
Yeah.
test you, because that's just how that works.
Yeah.
With a headbutt or an illegal knee or an illegal kick to a downed opponent, you stop the fight and you let the doctor come in and do their job, and
Yeah.
then you resume the fight if necessary.
And what if Kyle Douglas would have knocked him out again? That dude would have been knocked out twice in the same fight. He would have
Yeah.
been on the shelf for a very long time. So it's kind of good that it ended in submission a little bit, And so at least it's like, okay, I get to gather myself up a little better.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I lost some blood to the brain, but
Did you see Kevin Holland's response to it?
kind of, I just don't remember it.
He was like, oh no, Kyle or Dawkins won that fight. He won that fight because I got knocked out and I got submitted in the same fight. Nah, I lost that fight.
They do say
He says if it was a street fight, I would have lost. I was like, oh.
Yeah, shit, good thing it wasn't. They do talk about, though, that Kevin Holland's always very humble after defeat and stuff. He just takes a loss. But he did have some words for DC during the fight. And he told him, DC was like, see, he's working on takedown defense. He's like, you like that, DC? You like that? It's getting better. And then, what's his name? So at one point, Kyle Dawkins had him in like a reverse full Nelson.
Yeah.
And what's it called? They were talking about how long fucking
Oh,
Kyle
yeah.
Dawkins
He's
is.
just
He's
like,
he's so
so
long.
long.
So long. And then,
That was funny.
Yeah,
But
like-
again, he was just sitting there in it, and I'm like, punch him, do something,
yeah.
get him off you.
I don't know how the fuck do I would.
It was funny. I'm glad he did it. I'm not like genuinely complaining.
No,
but it's
I
like
see what you're saying.
if I'm watching it and I'm his coach, I'm like, dude, you got to shut up.
Yeah.
And you got to push him off you.
Yeah.
If you're talking while you push him off you, that's fine.
Yeah.
But get him off of you. Don't just sit there while this guy's draping his body over you.
Yeah, like I don't know what I would have to how the fuck I would get out of it, to be honest with you. I'm sure I could find a way after training
Got a
it.
clear shot to his ribs.
But yeah, I mean, nah, he didn't have a clear shot to his ribs.
He did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Both his arms were tied
No,
up. Hey man, his arms they're not that long. All right.
You just got to do something, though.
Yeah, I
Even
mean,
a foot stomp. If you were doing foot stomps,
he
I'd have been
he
like,
started
okay.
to.
He
Yeah,
did?
yeah, he
Okay,
did.
there you go. See? Look-
he was working. He was doing what he could. Kyle Dawkins didn't like the foot stomps either though. But I noticed that he was going to the foot stomps when he was in that position. He's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna find a way to do something
Good.
about
I'm
it.
glad, because
So
that's underutilized,
Yeah,
and I would have done the same thing.
you know that one time you checked my kick and my fucking I think I broke some toes.
Yeah.
I've after like months, dude, I've been finally able to pop my toes, like crack my toes. Like yesterday, something happened. And I was like, oh fuck, and I popped them. And I was like, oh, man, I haven't been able to do that in months, dude. That shit, my fucking my foot was a balloon. Like, it was so bad. What's up?
That actually is a good segue for our next fight. Johnny Walker and Thiago Santos.
Yeah.
Johnny Walker broke his foot in the third round.
Really? That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I would have forgotten all about that. I'm glad you started talking about your foot.
Did you see that? Okay, so that fight, that was an okay fight.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about it just before, and I think we are pretty accurate in our assessment of that fight. It was two guys who know that they can't afford a major loss.
Yeah.
But they know that they have to go in there and get a big knockout win.
And they respect each other's power a lot.
Yeah. So they're like, that guy needs a knockout win. I need a knockout win. We are both more than capable of getting it.
We're trying to catch
Let's
each
be
other's
careful.
souls, man. Like, this is not easy.
So they tried to fight smart, but not always safe. But that just didn't make for the kind of fight people expected.
Yeah, no, it was kind of a lackluster fight considering how both those two fight. But I think with Thiago Santos, and he's really had trouble finding his footing since his knee surgeries. No pun intended. And so he just hasn't really looked like himself, though. Like, he just looks super out of it. He looks like he's just kind of missing something. He looks very timid whenever he fights. And I kind of noticed it in his footwork recently, like last night too, that he's still trying to learn how to walk on his legs.
Yeah.
And, like, move his, like, his brain knows it, but his legs, I mean, he had to completely learn how to walk again. And they, like, legit had to go to PT for like a year and physical therapy for like a year. And so he hasn't really looked like himself. He looks very, very stiff on the feet, which is kind of how he's always been. But I think he struggled with that with a guy with Johnny Walker. You can't just fuck around with Johnny Walker either. You know, at one point, Johnny Walker threw a what's it called, an oblique kick.
Yeah,
you saw that?
I kind of remember it, but I was actually going to say that. I was going to be like, well, with how popular the oblique kick is getting, I understand Santos being like, please don't.
He threw the oblique kick, and I was like, "You're a piece of shit!" Like, yeah, he threw the side kick to the knee, and I was like, "That's so fucked up." But I get it. Like, somebody's got to do something right now. Johnny Walker actually trains at Tiger Muay Thai. Yeah, and so
he's he lives in Ireland. His fiance is an Irish fighter, competitor of fitness things. I don't remember, but
Molly McCann.
No, she's not Irish.
I don't know what she is.
English. She's a Scouser, man.
Scouser.
But yeah, Johnny Walker's really fun.
Heather
Thiago
Harvey.
Santos is really fun, but this fight wasn't necessarily really fun.
No, it was not.
Both guys kept throwing really cool head kicks, spinning back ones, all kinds of ones, but they just weren't even close to landing.
Yeah. The biggest shot was in the 5th round by Thiago Santos. Yeah. He landed a really, really good left hand, and Johnny Walker was like, okay. I was like, yeah, man, you got to hit him more than fucking once to knock this fucking dude out, man. It just seemed like anytime he would have headlined anything, he was successful with any of his shots, he never really followed up with it.
And if we haven't said yet, Thiago Santos won by decision.
Yeah.
I disagree. I feel like Johnny Walker won that. Maybe I'll have to go watch it again. I don't know. It was okay.
Yeah. I kind of don't want to watch it again to see, to get a second opinion on it. But I don't know. I just feel like this whole card is very lackluster. Well, the main card was lackluster.
Yeah.
The prelims showed up.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
The main card, whether it was because of unfortunate circumstances or both guys just have too much on the line, it just made for a lackluster card.
Like, and I think, like I told you too, though, is like whenever I saw the Kevin Holland fight, the way it ended, I was like, this is the change of tides. Like, this card is going down the poo-poo platter, I mean, it's not going good. But no, it didn't end very well, and I was kind of disappointed with that. But hey, next week we got Mackenzie Dern taking on Mahina Rodriguez. Yeah, don't get too excited.
Mackenzie Dern with submission.
I think Rodriguez takes that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. Rodriguez is a fucking animal. So,
Well, while we're moving past that card,
thank God.
Michael Venom Page
Yeah.
beat Douglas Lima in a split decision that a lot of people thought Douglas Lima won. I wasn't able to catch it, but I know what I did see was Michael Page almost got knocked out the exact same way that Douglas Lima knocked him out last fight. in their last fight. So that is hilarious because
funny.
that is a unique way to get knocked out.
Yeah.
And the fact that it almost happened exactly the same way is hilarious. But at least this time, Michael Page was able to kind of move out of the way in the last second.
So I saw the scorecards for the fight, and everybody. So 2 judges gave the first round to MVP, and then after that, 1 judge gave it to Douglas Lima. Besides that, everybody gave the second round to MVP, and then the third round, everyone gave it to what's his name?
Lima,
yeah.
So Lima had the third round, MVP had the second, and then 2 judges gave the first round to MVP.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so it was just like when I saw that, I was like, okay. And then, but some people are saying like, hey, well, like MVP took that round. Like only 1 judge actually scored it for Lima for the first round.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you really can't say that it was a controversial decision or it was a debated one. You know.
Yeah.
So
I'd have to go watch it. It could be one of those things where one fighter, Lima, just did more damage or his punches looked a bit harder, because I know that dude hits hard, and Michael Page is more about, timing and finesse than he is power. So
like I want to go back and watch it, but fucking Bellator decided to go to Showtime, and now they wonder why nobody watches their fucking fights.
Yeah.
Not everybody has Showtime, because I got to pay $5.99 a month already, including $70 for a UFC card. Why do I want to pay for a whole other fucking subscription for somebody else that puts on very underwhelming cards? Yeah. I had to get that off my chest. That bothered me. Bothers me. I actually might end up getting Showtime just to go back and watch Dexter.
Oh, well, there you go. Now you got reason.
Boom. Fucking maybe watch a Bellator card. But so like we were talking a little bit, and this is something that I don't know. Might as well bring it up now. So why do you feel like Bellator cards have been underwhelming? Like why people don't really care to tune into them?
I don't feel like they're underwhelming. I think they're okay.
Yeah.
I think they rely too much on UFC fighters, former UFC fighters.
Yeah.
I think if they looked at their own talent, like you look at Lima and MVP, that's exciting. Yeah. And it was exciting. And every single time they fight, not just against each other, but every time they have a fight, it's exciting.
They got guys like Sergio Pettis and AJ McKee. Vadim Nemkov is a very good fighter.
But yeah, AJ McKee's definitely another one. They have plenty of homegrown talent that I wish they would focus more on, but instead you get nothing but Anthony Johnson, Yoel Romero, Matt Mitrione, Ryan Bader, Gegard Mousasi. I love Gegard, but Lyoto Machida. It's like this. It's cool, but these guys aren't as fun to watch anymore. Yeah. There's a reason they're not in the UFC. So when you stack up your main events with those guys, you get what you had with Phil Davis and Yoel Romero, an underwhelming fight.
Yeah.
But if you look at Douglas Lima and MVP, exciting. You look at any time AJ McKee fights, it's exciting. I think they should just look at who they have, the talent they have without the people that they've signed.
Yeah.
From free agency, I think it'd be better.
Yeah, I think and that's what I feel like I feel like Bellator cards are pretty underwhelming, and I think the problem is that they just rely too much on these former UFC fighters, and there's a reason why these guys aren't in the UFC anymore. And but except for Gegard Mousasi, he's just a rare case of he was too good, and the UFC just didn't want to give him more money or a title fight. And
he's special.
Yeah, he is special. That dude has a fucking win over some really random people. Like he's fought all over the place from heavyweight to middleweight. I mean, that dude's done
all over the world.
Yeah, and he's fought all over the world. He's done it for a very long time, but I feel like Bellator is pretty underwhelming with the cards they put on, just because it's like y'all don't really build up y'all stars like y'all should, like they.
I agree with that.
Adrian Yanez fought in Bellator before, and they decided to let him go. They fucked up. They could have had a big star on their hands. The guy come in, fuck shit up, and they decided just to let him go. Now he's in the UFC, making that big money, knocking people out cold. So.
He probably would have made more money in Bellator.
He was getting bonuses at UFC though.
True.
So that's
True.
That's what I'm relying on with that statement. And so I also don't know how much the guy makes, man, but I hope he's getting paid well because he puts on a great show.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, let us know your thoughts on Bellator. Do you find Bellator exciting? Do you even watch Bellator? Do you know what Bellator is? If you don't, shame on you. Casual. But let us know your thoughts on that. Let us know what you thought about the recent UFC card. And we'll catch you next time.